안녕하십니까. 중앙일보 대표를 맡고 있는 남윤호입니다. 먼저 2022년도 미주중앙일보 온라인 칼리지페어에 참여해주신 학생, 학부모 여러분께 진심으로 감사 인사드립니다. 또 올해 타이틀 스폰서를 맡아주신 맥도날드사에게도 심심한 감사의 말씀 전합니다. 팬데믹을 계기로 대학 입학은 점점 더 어려워지고 있습니다. 수많은 대학들이 SAT와 ACT 점수를 입학 사정에서 제외하면서 예측하지 못한 결과가 나오기도 했습니다. 이런 상황에서 저희 중앙일보는 올해 17년째를 맞이하는 칼리지페어를 통해서 급변하는 대입 환경에서 진학을 준비하신 여러분께 도움을 드리고자 UC 어바인 입학국장님 그리고 사립대 진학에 조언을 해드릴 전문가를 모셨습니다. 우리 한인 학부모님들께 자녀 교육은 무엇보다도 중요한 일입니다. 저희 중앙일보는 미래를 짊어질 글로벌 인재 양성에 기여하는 교육 정보 제공 그리고 교육 프로그램 개발에 앞으로도 최선을 다할 것을 약속드립니다. 다시 한번 오늘 칼리지페어 참여해 주신 여러분께 감사의 말씀을 드립니다. 고맙습니다.
Hello everyone and good afternoon. Thank you to all of the viewers tuning in today to 17th Korea Daily's online college fair sponsored by McDonald's. Especially you guys are all watching in the middle of long weekends. Truly appreciate it. My name is Dave Lee, an education campaign manager from the Korea Daily, and I'll be your MC for today's workshop. In the opening, on behalf of Korea Daily, our CEO, Yuno Nam, gave a warm welcoming message for the students and parents who are watching the fair live today. Before we officially begin, I would like to thank our sponsor, McDonald's, which enables us to provide more information to students and parents through their college admission preparation and process. After the outbreak of COVID-19, the shape of college admission has been changed much, and the impact of pandemic has been affecting many of students in college admission for almost 3 years. We prepared this to bring more clarity, comfort, and confidence for those who are in the process of college admission. With that being said, we are very excited to share with you our program we have prepared for you today. Here's a program breakdown for today's fair. First, we'll kick off the fair by inviting Brian Ju, Senior Director, Outreach, Communications at UC Irvine, speaking on how to present yourself in UC application. Many students and parents favored his webinar last year, so we invited him for 2 consecutive years. Next, Jenny Wheatley, President of Admission Masters, will graciously join us to the webinar Private School Admission Strategies Inside the Common App. 금일 칼리지페어는 총 2개의 순서로 이루어져 있습니다. 지난해에 이어 2년 연속으로 강연자에 나서는 UC 어바인 브라이언 주 입학국장의 UC 입학사정제에서 자신을 드러내는 방법이라는 주제로 강연에 나섭니다. 바로 이어서 어드미션 마스터즈 제니 위틀리 대표가 사립대 입시 전략, 커먼앱 전격 분석이라는 주제로 오늘 칼리지페어 웨비나를 마무리합니다. You probably watched APA Next Summit live streamed from New York through us from 8 a.m. this morning. If you missed out APA Next Summit held live streaming, you may visit catchup_official YouTube to watch full events. APA Next is a McDonald's education initiative to support the Asian American community that offers helpful tools and scholarship resources to students and their parents to better plan out their college career and beyond. For more information about APA Next, you may visit apanext.com. That was for the intro of the program as well as APA Next. And let's move on to the next topic that students and parents are so eager to participate in, which is sweepstakes. Let me explain about sweepstakes opportunity. We'll be using a random number generator on our tablet to choose the winning numbers among 1,048 numbers who made pre-event registration by 12:50 p.m. today, so 10 minutes ago. And whoever received those number in confirmation emails will win the sweepstakes of AirPods Pro, iPad mini, and MacBook Air. Woo! Crazy sweepstakes lineups, aren't they? Just to be fair, we have removed those who have registered with duplicated email addresses. I'll spin for the winners at 3 different times during our virtual fair today. Make sure to have your sweepstake numbers available as you will have 3 minutes to call the phone number on the screen once we announce the winning numbers. These numbers will be found in your confirmation emails from the registration. Please check your spam mail if you did not receive one. And if you're not sure whether you received a number, do not call us nor send us a message on YouTube chat box, as we will not be able to assist you in any ways. Rather, email us at kdcollegefair@gmail.com. Once again, kdcollegefair@gmail.com. And our staff will be able to help you guys right away. 다음은 한국어 서비스 지원 안내입니다. 지금 신청하시는 분들 중 통역이 필요하신 분들이 계시면 유튜브 검색창에 ketchup_official, ketchup K입니다. ketchup_official을 검색하신 뒤 17회 중앙일보 칼리지페어 한국어를 클릭하시면 됩니다. 연사들의 강연이 동시 통역된 한국어 음성으로 지원됩니다. And with that being said, let's do the first round of sweepstakes right now. The first one is MacBook Pro. Yes, woo! We are starting off with the big one. Tell your friends and family to hop into the live streaming now, because to be able to win it, you must watch the event live. Otherwise, you'll be losing the chance. Let me pick a number. So I prepared my own number generator, and I put the range from 1 to 1048. So the first number that goes to who will be the luckiest person will be, ta-da, 94, 94, number 94. You just won free MacBook Air from our end. Congratulations, 94, 94. 94. Please call this number, 213-368-2559. Once again, 213-368-2559 within 3 minutes. And then our team will answer and guide you through the next steps. If you do not call within 3 minutes, your prize will be given to another chosen winner. Please call me in 3 minutes, 213-368-2559. Congratulations, number 94. To kick off the 17th Korea Daily's online college fair, we have Mr. Brian Ju, the Senior Director, Outreach and Communications at UC Irvine Admission Office, presenting How to Present Yourself in UC Application. He's entering his 21st year as a staff member at UCI and proud alumni of UCI as well. He actually started his admission career by being a campus tour guide in his freshman year. Also, he has a wonderful experience working with former President Obama, who was the commencement speaker at UCI's 50th anniversary commencement at LA Angel Stadium. Before we get started, it is a friendly reminder to the viewers to send any questions you might have during the presentation on our YouTube live chat box. We'll pick out a few questions to ask afterwards. Then, let's welcome Brian. Hey, Mr. Brian Ju, are you there? Good afternoon. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Hope everyone else is well too.
Great, that's awesome. And then thank you so much for joining us today. And truly appreciate your dedication to share your knowledge with both the parents and students in the middle of actually long weekends. It's such a great commitment for students and parents who are watching the college fair today. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I know it is coming up to the application season and the deadline for UC application. So hopefully today will be very helpful for all of the students who are finalizing their UC application for this month.
Yes, guys, the UC application closes within 2 weeks. So you guys better just wrap it up with this webinar. So now, without a further ado, it's all yours, Brian.
All right. Thank you so much, Dave. And let me get over to our presentation for today. So today, as Dave mentioned, thank you for the wonderful introduction. I am Brian Ju, Senior Director for Outreach and Communications at UC Irvine. I have been a staff member for over 20 years at UCI. I loved my experience. I love the UC system, and I'm happy to share information about the application process and how you can best present yourself on the UC application. So without further ado, let's just kind of jump into it. What I plan to cover today will be just a quick overview of the UC system, a little bit about our campuses and the differences between them. I will go into the freshman application itself and talk to you a little bit about the components that we're asking for and any updates that we have. We'll talk about comprehensive review, which is our process in terms of reviewing the application and how that relates to being admitted to the University of California by that comprehensive review process. At the end of this, it will be about some final tips that I'll give, and then a quick slide about resources. And then, like Dave said, we will have a small brief time for some questions afterwards. So hopefully I won't go a little more than about 30 minutes of talking, and then we'll leave some time for questions at the end of the presentation. So if you are all familiar with the University of California here in California, we are the state's primary research public institution for the state of California. There are 9 campuses to choose from. Many of you will know and recognize a lot of these campuses, from UC San Diego down to Irvine to LA to Riverside to Santa Barbara, UC Santa Cruz, UC Merced, UC Berkeley, UC Davis. Those are the 9 undergraduate campuses you can apply to. We do have one more UC campus, UC San Francisco, which is our graduate health sciences school. But for the 9 undergraduate campuses, you are going to get an amazing education no matter which campus you choose. All of the University of Californias are research-based. We have excellent academic and cultural offerings. We have wonderful faculty and students. So no matter where you're going to go, you're going to get a great, great education. And at the end of the day, the diploma is the same. It is the University of California diploma that you are receiving. Just as a reminder that many of our students come from the state of California. 82% of our student body are comprised of California residents. We are also very, very diverse. 39% of our students are first generation, meaning they're the first in their family to go to college. And we also have a large transfer population as well, which is 30% of our students are transfer students. If you do not get an offer to the University of California, don't ever think that is the end of the road. There's plenty of opportunities to apply as a transfer student going through the California Community College system. 6 of our 9 UC campuses offer a transfer admission guarantee, so you can actually go into a specific campus and be guaranteed from the community college process. And so that is a great, great alternative for students in any type of reason, whether they're not ready to go to UC, maybe they didn't get selected, maybe they want to stay closer to home for a few years. There's a lot of great opportunities of why we want to actually encourage more community college students to come to the University of California. So let's talk about the freshman application, though, and a little bit about what are the differences when you actually have to choose a UC campus. Like I was saying earlier, many of our campuses offer great offerings. You're going to get really good education if you're going to be engineering or bio or computer science or psychology or political science. But a lot of the other things might be the difference of why you decide to pick a UC campus. Number one is I always like to recommend students is to think about the campus environment. What's the best environment for you? And that could be geographic location. We have campuses in Northern California, Southern California, Central California. They're on the coast. They're a little more inland. Some of them are more rural. Some of them are more urban, like in the city. So no matter which UC campus you choose, you might want to consider the location and the environment that you're in. Student size might also be a factor to you. Do you want to go to a large university with over 40,000 undergraduates, a mid-sized one, or are you more of the type that you like a smaller school atmosphere and you want maybe a smaller university style like that? Another difference would be the majors in which you're interested in. Like I said before, UC campuses offer a huge number of majors. Most of the UC campuses offer many, many majors to choose from. Yet students tend to typically apply to a very select few. Most of the time, they're just the popular majors. And so you might want to check out each individual UC to make sure they have the major you're interested in, or maybe they have some unique majors that you never considered and you really want to do that. For example, if you're looking to animal science or veterinary, I always recommend UC Davis because they have one of the best programs for veterinary. If you're looking at film and media, you might want to actually look at UCLA's film school like that. If you're into oceanography, you'll want to look at UC San Diego or UC Santa Cruz. If you're into maybe nursing or pharmacy or game design or criminology, which was my major, UC Irvine, then that's what we have offered at UCI, which is criminology, law, and society. The other thing you might want to find out too is, what are the resources and programs available to me and others like me? Maybe you want to make sure that the student body is comprised of a community that you know you can thrive in, that you'll be able to be successful in, that you'll be able to find students who are like you so that you can be supported. That's another important thing, is to just find out what are the resources available to each of the UC campuses. Also, what is the community like? Are there industries? Are there career opportunities? Are there organizations that are in that community that will be able to support you while you are there in those 4 years? So those are very, very individualistic and personal questions that I can't answer for you, but those are really the things that you should be considering when you're looking at a UC campuses. Don't worry about the rankings. Don't worry about the reputation. A lot of it is going to be based on is that UC campus fitting the needs and expectations of what you're hoping to get out of a University of California. The best way to do that is to do online research. You can come visit and take tours. You can do a little more further reading about each individual campuses and its identity and personality. Those are the best ways to really find out what are the differences between the different UC systems and schools. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the deadlines and the reminders here. For you who are seniors, hopefully you know that the application opened on August 1st. If you're younger than that, just know that August 1st during your senior year is when the UC application is available to be open. During October 1st through November 30th is your filing period. So this is when the applications are due. October 1st through March 2nd is also the FAFSA and California DREAM Act application filing period. So you have now until March 2nd to do all of your financial aid. That is really important because if you are looking to be qualified for any scholarships that we might offer or any type of other aid, you will want to make sure you get that FAFSA in. As Dave said, we are coming up to the deadline for the UC application. It is November 30th. That is just in a few weeks away from now. I definitely recommend not waiting until the last minute because the application has a lot of different parts to it. And so anytime between October 1st and November 30th, you can submit that application to us if you're ready. Don't worry, a lot of students probably wait until the week of Thanksgiving. And so I will most likely see your application around that time. We typically review the applications during the winter time, and then around March is when our decisions come out. After that, if you are admitted to one of the University of Californias, you have until May 1st to decide that deadline. If once you decide to go to a specific campus, you have to submit all of your final transcripts, all of your official AP, IB exam scores and everything by July 1st and July 15th. So let me talk a little bit about our freshman application and what we are requiring students to do. I think most students are very familiar with the A through G requirements. This is the minimum number of classes that you have to have in order to be eligible for the University of California system as a high school student coming out or a freshman applicant. We have history, English, mathematics, science, language other than English, visual performing arts, and one elective, which is comprised of all that. I think that is very basic. A lot of you should know that. But again, that is just the minimum classes that we are requiring students to have. At the same time, we do expect a certain GPA. So the California resident, if you're a California resident, it's a 3.0. If you are non-resident of California, the minimum GPA requirement is a 3.4 GPA. We calculate your GPA from your 10th and 11th grade classes. So we don't look at 9th grade and we don't look at 12th grade. We only calculate the GPA from the A through G courses. And so the A through G courses are basically the classes that I just listed, and those comprise during your 10th and 11th grade years. We do a weighted calculation, and so we can approve up to 8 semesters of honors, AP, IB, and college level classes from there, and we do convert to grade points. So we don't do pluses or minuses. That is how your GPA is factored. Now, a lot of students, I know during the last couple of years, we had a global pandemic, and your classes and grades might be a little different than traditional grades like that. We are still allowing pass credit grades through winter 2020 through summer of 2021. So if you have any pass credit grades during that time, we will continue to allow the pass credit. Basically, you satisfy the A through G requirement. However, we will not use the pass credit grade in terms of the calculation of the GPA. So you do not need to report it as an A, B, C. If your transcript says a pass or a credit type of class, just put pass and credit. We will calculate the GPA without those grades on that one. So the other changes are obviously repeating classes like that. We will, your pass credits can replace a D, F, or no pass credit. Courses earned with a pass credit cannot be repeated for a higher grade though. And again, we will not calculate anything for the GPA calculation. And so those were the changes that were happening during COVID. It is still something very big. I know a lot of you were impacted by that. It is okay to talk about COVID or to mention different things in the additional comments or the application academic comments that you want to give us. So if there's anything about COVID and your grades, just go ahead and let us know in the application. We are very flexible in terms of understanding if something happened with you or your school or during your home life during that, please just let us know about that. It's okay to talk about those things on the application. So what's new about the application this year? When you're filling out the application, the other thing you will want to see is that we are asking you about a statement of legal residence here. This is new in that in the past, we would ask this of you at the end of the application cycle so that it can actually determine your residency. If you're from California, most of you will not need to do any additional review, but if you are outside California, you might ask us to review what your residency is so that you can know, are you paying the out-of-state tuition or are you paying a California resident tuition? So for any students out there who might just be unsure of what their residency status is and what to expect if you do get admitted to the University of California, go ahead and fill that out. This statement of legal residence has no impact on your admissions process or the review or the decision. It is simply a helpful tool for you so that if you do get admitted, you might be able to know what residency you will be falling in under. All right, so as we look at the application here, what are things that we do consider here? Yes, the application is our chance for you to tell us about yourself. And so when we look at the application here are the things that we look at outside of the classroom. We do look at coursework other than A through G. So if you are taking outside classes in any type of capacity that are not A through G classes, we will take that. If you're part of any educational preparation programs, if you are part of any extracurricular activities that you're involved in, all of your clubs and activities and things going on, community service hours, that's very, very important. Your awards and honors programs, if you have won anything or have done some sort of recognition in some advanced classes or subject, we want to know about that. And of course, obviously, your work experience. That is really, really important for us to know is that, oh, if you have a part-time job, if you're doing other things, what are you using the income for? What's your timing like that? We really want to know what are you doing outside the classroom so we can actually look at it holistically. We can actually look at it in a big picture and see, okay, your grades, your academics is one thing, and then all of your different activities and awards and involvements outside the classroom, what's happening on that. We're really looking for a well-rounded type of student. And that is very different from maybe any other college applications. And so this is an area, this is your chance to really tell us about yourself, present to things about yourself. The biggest tip I would say, especially for the extracurricular preparation programs and awards, is you have a really long section on there to actually describe the activity or describe the award. Take the opportunity to talk about how that relates to you. So if you're involved in a club or a sports program, tell us what your role is. How long have you done that before? What's your involvement level to that? If you want an award, give us a description of the award. Tell us things like how many people it's out of, or what's it qualified for. Is this a school award? Is this a city award? Is this a state award? Is this a regional award? Or is this a national or even international award? Who's eligible for this? The more information about the activity or the award as it relates to you will be really, really helpful on the application right here. You might also be very familiar that the UCs employ something called the PIQ, which is the Personal Insight Questions. This is our way of really, really getting to know you and letting you talk about yourself in your own voice. This is basically more of an interview style type of question. So basically, there's 8 questions to choose from. You will respond to 4 out of the 8. You have a 350 word maximum. So there's not a lot of time. There's not a lot of words for you to waste talking about other things. So you want to maximize your opportunity on that. There's no right or wrong response, and everything is very personal. So I can't tell you exactly what to say because you know your own life. You'll want to talk about your own life, your own experiences, your own context. Some of the information on there could be used for your admission as well as scholarship consideration. So it is very much your opportunity to tell us about yourself. I'll give you a couple hints and tips at the end of it, but my biggest thing is really you talk about yourself in terms of the process of everything. So don't use it as just relaying information that we already know on the application. This is very important for you to be able to present yourself. And so you can talk about, okay, if you are a captain of a sports team or you're president of a club, what does that mean to be the president of the club? Or what does it mean to be the captain? We already know that you're the captain or the president, but tell us, what are the things you're doing to display or share examples of your presidency? Did you have to create meetings? Did you have to settle some dispute? Did you have to organize your own practices? Did you have to, did you lead your team to a really, really strong outcome? All of those things are examples of how you fit into the activity or the involvement that you're doing or the idea that you're presenting. As a high school senior, my biggest recommendations for the PIQs would be to think of the top 4 or 5 things that you're most proud of that you want a UC application person to know. And that's how you want to talk about those things. Revolve the PIQs around those topics. You don't have to have a formal essay. We're not grading you for the grammar or the spelling, but you want to write in a way that conveys your own voice and be really, really direct to us. Pretend that I am sitting across from you asking these questions. How would you respond in the personal insight question on that end? That's what we're really looking for. Pretend it's like an interview, and you'll want to talk about yourself and talk about yourself in the way that really gets across, this is important to me, and I need you to know this about me as I'm going through the application. So it's a really, really big part, especially for campuses like UC Irvine, where we do a holistic review. We look at every application in terms of its context. And so we are looking to find, specific information about your context and your opportunities like that. So what is the difference then? When we put it all together, what does it mean to be actually selected or admitted to the University of California? So obviously you see our requirements here. A through G, the GPA, that's the same for all campuses. In order to be eligible, you have to meet those minimum requirements. However, each of the 9 UC campuses actually apply those 13 comprehensive review factors a little differently. They can vary from campus to campus. Campuses who have a lot of applicants from their pool are very selective, and meaning we will definitely look for different types of strengths in your application there. We might be focusing on one thing or another. We don't share applications. We don't talk to each other about the applications. Every UC campus basically applies and reviews their applications independently of one another. And so when I read for UC Irvine, I am specifically tasked with certain ways when we review the application to look at that for a UC Irvine student body. I'm not reading for any of the other UC campuses. So that's just important to know that there's a differences when each UC campuses you're applying to, they're going to review it independently, meaning that you can have differences in terms of your admission decision. You might get into one campus where you didn't think you were going to get into, and then you might not get into a campus that you thought it was really strong in. And it's because everyone reviews the applications a little differently like that. So what is comprehensive review? We are basically looking at a combination of all of these factors in your application. We're obviously looking at your academic achievement, GPA, current rigor, academic trajectory. We are looking, if you're in California, the ELC, whether you're eligible in local context, meaning you're one of the top 9%, that can be a factor in the application. Are you involved in any honors programs, special projects? What's your personal school and family context like? Like I said, that's part of the PIQs, talking about your context and the opportunities available to you. Are you displaying any special talents, skills, and awards or leadership? And have you done any, unique life experiences or special circumstances or challenges in life like that? So those are all the different things you want to talk about on the application here. So definitely another factor that plays into account of the UC application is basically popular majors. Some of the campuses, the major plays a very, very big role in the application process. Typical majors that you're going to see are biology, computer science, engineering, business, psychology. Those tend to be the popular majors across the board with all the UC campuses. when you look at every UC campuses, they're going to have a lot of different majors. And so my recommendation is not to say or not to dissuade you from applying to really popular majors, but know that there are a lot of really good alternate majors out there, or really less popular majors that lots of students just don't know the name of. So do your research, find out that maybe in computer science, there's other majors under computer science. For example, at UC Irvine, we have majors such as data science or informatics. Those are still under the School of Computer Science. So you'll still be able to get into the computer science school, but maybe not necessarily as a computer science major. You will be able to take other really good, unique majors that you never thought of. The biggest thing I just want to tell everyone is that the major doesn't necessarily determine the career. A lot of students jump around to different majors, and they don't necessarily need the specific majors to get into the career they want to go to. Not every student who is a bio major needs to be bio in order to get to med school. There's lots of other health science majors to be able to do that. Not everyone has to be a business major to get to an MBA school or a law school, or to get your psychology degree like that, or to get an engineering degree. So there's lots of opportunities at this time to really explore and find out about the different majors. When I was a student at UCI, I didn't know what to choose from, so I was undeclared. And then I eventually found criminology, which I love this topic. I love the major at UC Irvine. It was a great subject. And then, of course, now I'm doing college admissions. So you don't necessarily have to align the exact major with the career, because there's so many other pathways that can get you to that same career goal, not being in the specific major. And so definitely consider alternate majors, consider less selective majors, maybe consider less popular majors that most students may not necessarily know about. Do your research and find out about those majors, because it could be a topic that you're really interested in, and it could be something that you really, really love to do. So when you are selected to University of California, just know that there is no one factor that determines your admissions process to it. We are taking it all together. So we are looking at the PIQs, we are looking at your context, we're looking obviously your academics, we're looking at your extracurricular activities, and we're looking at the entire applicant pool as a whole. And so all of those factors, some of those things you do have control over, some of them you don't have control over. And so all of those combination of things all determine an admissions criterion. So that's why you'll never have one consistent, and there's no formula for it. It basically means that all of these factors are considered when you're applying to us, and how we determine that admissions process like that. So as I kind of end here, I want to just leave some final tips, and then of course I will be open for questions here. Just remember that admissions is more than just a GPA and a test score. When I'm talking about test scores, it is not the SAT or ACT, because we are test free. We are not accepting or using any type of standardized test for that, but it is more than just GPAs, maybe your AP test or IB scores or your academic rigor. We just don't look at just a formula like that. We just don't look at your academics and determine, okay, you're in like that. There's so many other factors than just those GPA and just those academic records. Like I said, there's 13 different criteria for the comprehensive review. And so don't think that just because you have a really high GPA, it means that it's a lock. It never is a lock on any of those things. The other thing is, every part of the application is designed for you to share information about yourself. So try not to share information that we already know about you from other parts. But what I'm saying is, don't waste your words, don't waste your time. If we already know that you're captain of something, you don't have to repeat that. Or if we already know that you're president of a club, you don't need to spend the whole PIQ talking about how you're president of the club and what led to that, because we already know that. So look at each part of the application as an opportunity for you to present something new about yourself, to present something that's additional for yourself like that. We can take any part of the application and apply that to any of the criteria. At the same time, what I was talking about, remember that no one criteria will determine the outcome. Again, there's multiple factors that determine an admissions offer. And so don't just think, again, that if you have this combination and you're good to go, and because previous applicants had that combination, or previous applicants used these PIQ topics to talk about, or previous applicants did this, it means that you're going to get the same admission like that. Every cycle is unique, every applicant is unique. And so the best thing you can do is then just put your best foot forward, present who you are in the best light to the admissions reader. And that's what you want to take advantage of. Finally, my last tip is to just be open to majors that could be similar interest to you. You might not necessarily don't be drawn to just the big name popular majors. Again, like I said earlier, bio or computer science or engineering. Don't just be drawn to those popular types of majors that everyone seems to be applying to. You'll find out that all the UC campuses have tons and tons of other majors here. And even though they may not sound like something that you're well familiar with, take the time to actually research it. Find out what's about it. Maybe look up the general catalog at each of the UC campuses and look at the classes that are under there, or look up the professors and find out what are they studying? What are they actually researching? Because you might find out, oh, that's actually something that I want to do. Again, your major does not determine your career path. And so there's a lot of things that can happen in between when you get to a University of California from graduating there that could lead to your career path on that end. And so definitely be open to lots of the other majors that are available to you. Finally, here is a quick snapshot of all of our resources here. And so if you need some additional information with the last couple of weeks happening right here with the last 3 weeks, take a look at these websites here, take a photo of it if you'd like to, the general admissions website there. If you need some information about how applications are reviewed, feel free to go to that website. If you need just some tips and hints about the application process, we have a lot of resource guides about how to write your PIQs or how to fill out other parts of the application. Definitely do reach out to us like that. Or if you just have general questions that you need to email the UC Application Center, please, happy to do so on that end. And so with that, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know that was a little short and brief, but hopefully it provided a lot of information for you for the University of California application. And just a quick reminder, I know it is a stressful time of the year, especially for you seniors. It's a lot of pressure because you've worked so hard in high school to apply to the University of California. Just know that the University of California is very popular and that we do have a lot of applications coming. There's a lot of different campuses to choose from. So be very open to the different UC campuses. And again, if you don't get the decision you were hoping for in spring, there's a lot of different pathways from our community college pathways to other great university offers that you have. And so at this time, I just want to wish you the best during the senior year if you're applying. And again, just look for how you can present your best foot forward on the application. And with that, I will open up to some questions here. And thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Wow, those were very, very informative and important information. Thank you, Mr. Ju. And then now we'll have the Q&A session with some of the questions that either viewers have sent in prior to the event or selected from the chat box. So I'm having this live chat right now, and then I'm going to pick few questions that they've kind of submitted. So, first question, and then before we go, I mean, Dear Rabbit, I think, the Mr. Ju already explained everything. Yes, the major affects your chances of getting into the school. So, find out alternatives if possible. If they are like majors are too popular, then, it's better strategies to find out alternatives always, find it out. And, let's move on. And Kyungwon Park, and she said, is it difficult to switch the majors after getting admitted to any of UC campuses?
Great question. Yes, I know what a lot of students are always thinking. Okay, if for some of our UC campuses, we do admit by major, and so the major plays a factor in the admission. Not all the majors, not all the UC campuses do this, but some, especially the more popular campuses, the major can be a factor. Like Irvine, the major, we do consider that. And so my recommendation is that in order to switch majors, there's if you're trying to switch into a not selective major, meaning that maybe it's a major that's not as popular, it's very easy to do so. After you get admitted to a UC campus, sometimes there is a small opportunity to switch majors. Other times you can do a change of major process, which is basically getting into the classes, getting a certain GPA, and then meeting those requirements, and then getting into the major. So it's very easy to do that. The more selective majors, though, I would warn that it could be a little hard to get into those majors like that. Some of our more popular majors, especially at Irvine, like business, nursing, bio, engineering, computer science, you might be able to get into the classes, but you may not be able to switch majors right away. And so, because some of those major classes are very hard to get into, not to mention that you have to maintain at least like a B average in those classes, some of the selective majors can be very, very hard to get into. At the same time, very few majors may not even allow you to switch into the major unless there is a space available. And so just be aware of that, that if you're looking into something very selective, it's not going to be as easy to switch into as maybe some of the least selective majors.
Great, thank you so much. And the question number 2 is actually nickname Kiki20. Thank you for your enthusiasm submitting multiple questions, and then I'll pick one. Can multiple admission offers be made out of students? Probably like, multiple campuses, I think.
Yes,
she or
correct.
he is
Yes. So
referring.
yeah, because every UC campus reviews its application very differently. Again, we don't share our decisions with any other UC campus, so we don't know what the other campuses are doing. I don't call my friends at the other UCs to ask them what's happening. It's possible that you can get admitted to all the campuses you apply to. It is also possible you might not get admitted to any of the campuses you apply to. And so just know that there's so many different factors to play into, but we do not share our decisions like that in any way. And so, yes, you can definitely get into multiple campuses like that. My recommendation is always apply broadly. If you're interested in any of the UCs, apply to many UCs. Don't think about just, one UC is my fit, because there could be a lot of really good fits amongst the different UC campuses.
Great, thank you so much. And another question from Kiki20 is, what is the general process for undeclared major student apply for a major after a few semesters in UC systems?
Yeah, honestly, the undeclared major is one of the best majors to choose from because you really get to try out all the different majors on campus. And so all of our undeclared programs usually offers like a class you can take or some sort of guidance where you'll be able to try out and get entry-level classes in. And there's always advisors to kind of help you find out where you want to get to. And so this was a great opportunity for me personally to kind of try out a lot of different majors. I got to try out bio, I took a computer class, I took an economics class, I took a psychology and criminology class. And once I kind of got those intro classes out of the way, I was able to find out, I really like some of those topics. So that's the best way undeclared students are able to find their major. Most campuses, you don't have to declare a major until after your second year. So you have plenty of time to be able to choose that. And there's always advisors for you. There's always check-ins so that you can actually be progressing toward your major. The nice thing about undeclared is that you get the second priority in terms of registering for all of the classes on campus because those are available to undeclared students.
Great. And then I think, like many people submitted about, the submitted questions regarding to the transfer. So is there any, have a disadvantage, like, for the transferring students compared to the first year students? And then is there any majors not open to the transfer students? And then, is like, is transferring within UC campuses treated like fairly or as any other transfers or, like freshmen applicants?
Yeah, got it. So the only major that any transfer cannot apply to is undeclared. So as a transfer student, essentially what you're doing is completing your first 2 years of general education and then coming to a UC to finish up your major and to graduate from there. Typically, we have a great partnership with the California community colleges, which is why we have a transfer pathway from them. So it's a lot easier to actually transfer from a California community college to a UC because all of our classes are listed together. If you're already at another UC, it is sometimes a little harder to transfer, or if you're going to another four-year school like a Cal State or any other private school, because all of our classes are not articulated together, meaning that you don't know if they're going to count toward the major requirements when you come to the campus you're applying to. Also, we have a priority in the state of California to select students from the California community colleges. So we will take a priority of those versus students who are already at a four-year degree, because when you're in a community college, you don't have the opportunity to get your bachelor's degree. And so we want to make sure that all community college students have that opportunity to get into a UC through that way. Usually, the major requirements are a lot less. The nice thing about being a transfer student is that you get to start all over again. So your high school stuff doesn't carry over. You start again fresh and new. So there's a lot of good advantages for coming in as a transfer student like that.
Great, thank you so much. And then one last question from my end, actually. Does the UC application system ends 11:59 PST on November 30th? Like, what is the exact
Yes.
time that closing the application?
Yes, that is the time that it closes, and so just make sure you get it in on time on November 30th at 11:59 p.m. Again, there's a lot of parts of the application, so don't wait until the last minute because you're going to be stuck like that. So.
Great, thank you so much. I think due to the time restriction, we have to end our Q&A session. Mr. Zhu, thank you for answering all of these questions with such a passion. And once again, thank you for joining us and sharing amazing tips and insights. We really appreciate it. So before we let you go, Mr. Zhu, if there are still viewers, still have some questions, would it be possible to restate the best contact information reaching out to UC campuses?
Yeah, sounds good. So if you have any other follow-up questions, the best thing to do would be if you're interested in a specific UC campus like UC Irvine or anywhere else, just go to their UC admissions website, and there is usually an email address or a contact us form on there. For us, we have a contact us form where you just fill out your name and information and your question that you have, and it'll get routed to the appropriate counselor where they will be able to respond to you. And so please check out the University of California admissions websites for more information and the contact us page for anything follow-up. If you have specific application questions or technical questions, the University of California application website, there is an email, a toll-free number, and a hotline that you can call during the week if you do have questions about that.
Thank you very much. So without a further ado, I think it's time to let you go. Thank you, Mr. Zhu.
All right,
And
thank you everyone, and have a great long weekend.
Have a
Thank you so much
wonderful
for-
weekend too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So just like Mr. Zhu said, for any of the viewers still have questions, please feel free to reach out by visiting Contact Us page of each UC campuses and submit your questions, and designated admission officers will be assisting you with further questions. That was a great webinar, wasn't it? But I think we should have some time to break though, right? It's time to pick out one more numbers for our second sweepstake opportunity, which is iPad mini. Let's get to our winning number. So before that, let me explain one more time that it is not about calling fast to that number, but whoever gets selected with our selected number in your confirmation email only got to call through 213-368-2559 for your information verification. So it is not about first come, first served sweepstakes, but we actually have to win that number. So, we'll be picking out the number for the iPad mini. This number, so whoever got selected with this number, please call us. But if you did not get selected, please bear with us because we have like round 3 sweepstakes in the end, okay? So the next luckiest number will be 328, 328, 328. Congratulations. You are the winner of iPad mini, free iPad mini actually. So if you get number 328, please call this number, 213-368-2559. Once again, 213-368-2559. You have 3 minutes to call to verify yourself. If you do not call within 3 minutes, your prize will be given to another chosen winner. So please call at 213-368-2559. Once again, 213-368-2559. Now we have Jenny Whitley, President of Admission Masters, presenting private school admission strategies. What a balance. We just covered the public school, which is the UC system. Now we are covering private schools. So private school admission strategies inside the Common App shows a former UCLA and Johns Hopkins University admission officer and then Teach for America alumni and has a master's education degree at Johns Hopkins University. Also, a quick reminder to send your question on our chat box section, which will be asked afterwards. With that being said, let's welcome Jenny Whitley. Jenny, are you there with us this afternoon? Hey, let me make a center.
Saturday.
Yeah, happy Saturday. Thank you, thank you. And we are very delighted to have you this afternoon, especially thank you for your dedication to kind of hop into our webinar in the midst of a long weekend.
Of course, I'm so happy to be able to join.
Great, great. Welcome to the Korea Daily's online college fair, and then now the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Korea Daily. Thank you all so much for giving me this opportunity to give you some more information. I feel like I've kind of been around with a lot of seminars this year, but I'm really glad that I'm here to be able to speak with you guys again. Today, I want to go dive right into the Common Application. I know that we spoke a lot about the UCs. I'm so glad that UCI and Brian came to give you guys some information about the UC system. Today, I want to give you guys more information about private schools and the Common Application. As Brian said earlier, I do think a lot of students are working so hard right now, especially my seniors are working incredibly hard on their Common Application and what they need to be doing and what they need to be working on for private schools as UC applications as well. So I want to dive in really quickly. And for those of you who are younger, who are not seniors right now, who are 11th, 10th, 9th, even 8th graders or in middle school that are like, what is this college application process about? What do I need to prioritize? What do I need to be working on? Today, I want to talk about those things in hopes that it will kind of help you guys to plan what your high school journey should look like. Before I get started, I do want to talk a little bit about Admission Masters. We are named the #1 educational consulting company and organization. We have former admission officers from across the nation and universities. We are the leader in boarding school and college admissions, and we do use a team approach. And we believe education is not a one-size-fits-all, so we have a personalized program that we support our students with. And that's just a little bit about us. There's a QR code here that you can get to know about our organization a little bit more. There's also a QR code. Oh, I don't think you see myself on the screen, but there's also a QR code on my screen as well. So anyway, if you guys want more information, you can click on this QR code and get to know our organization a bit more. Okay, so before I talk to you about a Common Application, what the Common Application is, and what kind of things need to go into the Common Application, I do think it's really important to talk to you guys about how admission decisions are made. 입학 사정관들이 학생들의 지원서를 받았을 때 어떻게 그 지원서를 보는지에 대해서 좀 알아야 될 것 같아서 I'm going to talk a little bit about the decision specifically. What happens when you submit your applications? What do admissions do? Now, I do want to put a little disclaimer out there in that every college admissions is a little bit different in their processes. Some of them have multiple readers. Some of them have committees. Some of them have smaller committees. Some of them have larger committees. But generally speaking, across the colleges that I've worked at, 6 different campuses across the nation, I've seen things that are very, very similar across the schools, whether those are Ivy Leagues or top colleges or UC admissions. As Brian mentioned earlier, UCs are also very holistic, right? They don't just look at your academics and that's it, but they look at everything. So let's dive in to what happens when you submit your application. Generally speaking, when you submit your college application, there is someone called a first reader. And the first reader is the reader who spends about 10, 15 minutes looking at your grades, your scores, your classes, just to see if it's worth reviewing the rest of your application. They're also known as the statistician, who kind of creates an academic index score for the applicant. So this first reader is just going to kind of look at your application. They're going to make some notes about your grades, your test scores, your essays, your activities, your teacher recommendation. They're going to make some notes. Not a lot of times is that first reader making evaluation about your application. So they're not usually the one that looks at your application and says, yes, we want to accept this person. No, we want to accept this. No, we don't want to accept this person. That usually happens in the second reader. So what happens in the second reader, usually the second readers are admission officers or admission representatives. The first readers may just be hired to be doing reviewing, kind of giving you a score, right? The second reader makes the evaluation and makes the decision. They're going to look at the first reader's notes and say, okay, based on what this first reader said, I think we can go ahead and take a look at this application a little bit further, make a decision on accepting, rejecting, or waitlisting the student. In the case of early admissions, they could defer you as an applicant, but they'll be adding some additional perspective that the first reader was not able to provide, and make notes on accepting, rejecting, or waitlisting or deferring the student if they applied early. Now, with that being said, they put them into piles of accepted, rejected, waitlisted, deferred. And from there, students that the second reader was like, I'm not 100% sure if I want to accept or waitlist a student, like they need to go into the committee. Those applicants will go into a committee. They'll take about 5-10 minute discussion on individual applicants that the AOs or the admission officers will be presenting to the rest of the group. And usually senior officers or dean of admissions or other admission readers are part of the committee, and then we'll vote, right? Here are 3 students. We only have spot for 1. Who wants to accept student A, student B, student C, and then they'll vote them into admissions or rejection or defer or waitlist. Right? So with that being said, I just wanted to kind of comment on a couple of things. The first is, like I said, I've worked at a lot of different colleges. Admissions reading process is very similar, remarkably similar at a lot of selective schools. So me presenting this information to you is so that number one, when you submit your application, who's going to be taking a look at it and how are the decisions made? And I wanted to show that process. The other thing I want to mention is that unfortunately, your application is read fairly quickly. We're not looking at an application for hours on hand. Unfortunately, we don't have the time to be looking at applications for that long. So it is fairly short. That's why I want to talk about the Common Application today, because how you present yourself in your application is going to be really important. What you write, what you put, how you portray yourself, because that is what the admissions are going to see. As I mentioned earlier, 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes max, which is still a lot. I also want you to know that admission officers are real people. We are not robots. We have emotions and feelings, and we are trained to be as logical and as objective as possible, but we are also humans, and so we have emotions, and so sometimes those types of emotions, we tend to be a little bit subjective in applications. But we do a lot of quantitative scoring, but the process is very qualitative. It's very holistic. We're looking at people, and we're looking at humans who are writing applications as well, and trying to make sense of their opportunities and their efforts and their impact and their fit to our school as well. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into that process, which is why this process is not just like, oh, let's look at this. Oh, you got 10 A's. Okay, we're going to accept you, right? It's so much more than that. Okay, so let's dive into the strategy. Okay, so let's talk strategy. I think when you look at the Common Application, there's 3 really big strategies that you can think about. The first one is selecting the right courses and activities, right? Am I selecting the right classes? 과목을 잘 이제, choosing them throughout high school, right? And are they related to my activities? How am I showcasing my story through the Common Application? Essay 쓸 때 topic, right? Your topic and your prompts that you're choosing, they need to be aligned, and you need to make sure that the topics that you choose and the prompts that you choose do share a lot about you as an applicant, but also as a person. And how you portray yourself on the application, to me, is very, very important. And that's really what I'm going to talk about today. 3 big strategies. I'm sure you guys have talked about the courses. I'm sure you've learned about your activities. People talk about your activities all the time. And I know a lot of people talk about the importance of essays. Not a lot of people, I feel like, talk about what goes onto your application, what goes into it in terms of, where you need to put your activities, what types of things need to be looked at. When you're strategizing what goes into your Common App. So let's dive in. And these are actual, screenshots of the actual Common Application. So hopefully this helps you guys in better understanding what goes into the application and how you need to be portraying yourself on the application as well. So the first part is courses and activities. I had mentioned earlier, the first part with courses, you want to make sure that they are rigorous. So you are taking the most challenging courses in your high school that are offered at your high school, and that you're taking, if AP is the highest level at your high school, that you're taking as many AP courses as possible, honors. If you go to an IB school, then you're considering the IB courses at your school. You know, a lot of students ask, should I be taking courses outside of my school if my school doesn't offer as many rigorous courses? If you have exhausted all of the options of academic courses at your school at the highest of levels, like I have a lot of students who have taken all of the AP calculus, AB, BC, AP statistics, and they don't have any more math offered at their high school. In that case, I usually tell my students, go ahead and try to take linear algebra or multivariable calculus outside of your high school to show that upward level of rigor. That's only if you've exhausted all of the courses that are offered at your high school first, right? You also want to make sure that you're taking classes that are related to your major. A lot of our students are choosing their major, I would say, by their 10th grade, second semester, because it is by that time, in my opinion, that you need to figure out, at least if you're going into the STEM field or the humanities field, or what type of direction you're going to be going for your major, because that determines the courses that you're going to be taking. Of course, you have to take the regular foundational courses in high schools, like English and math and science and history, right? But the electives that you get to choose at some of your high schools are going to be dependent upon the major direction that you want to go into. And we want to make sure that you keep that in mind as you select your courses as well. And a really big thing that I'm sure a lot of admission officers and former admission officers will tell you is that a part of your academics is to show that upward progression, that you've consistently have been taking more and more challenging courses since 9th grade. Your grades have improved over time. Right? This upward progression is something that's really important to show in your 4 years that you've attended high school. So if you're one of those students that you are like, oh, my 9th grade, I just failed everything, I didn't do so well in 9th grade, that's okay. As long as in 10th grade, you are working harder to get better grades. In 11th grade, you are getting better grades. That upward progression actually shows a lot of your resilience and your grit and your determination. And it's a really big part of course selection as well. With that being said, you also don't want to be one of those students who are like, oh, I took 4 APs my sophomore year and I got C's in all of them, but my junior year, I'm going to take 6 APs, right? You don't want to show that either. If you know that 4 APs was a lot for you and you didn't get such good grades, you probably shouldn't be pushing yourself to take more AP courses your junior year. What you should be doing is learning from what happened in your sophomore year and making sure that you're balancing that accordingly as you approach your junior year. In terms of activities, once again, major focus is really important. If you're deciding that you're going into a certain type of major, you want to have some activities, which I'll show you in a little bit, that show that you have a passion for that major. Dedication, compassion, leadership, passion, uniqueness is all of these qualities are very important and can be shown through your activities, which I feel like a lot of my students don't realize that. How do I show compassion, or how do I show uniqueness through my activities? Absolutely, you can show those qualities through your activities, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how you can show that in a moment. And on the Common Application, there are 10 spots for activities, 10 spots for activities. So what you put for those 10 slots are going to be really important. How you choose the activities that are going to go into your 10 slots and in what order you're going to be putting those activities in those 10 slots are also very important as well. So let's look at this sample activity list here. Obviously, it's only 4 of the 10, but I wanted to show you so you can kind of see, okay, maybe you can tell what type of major the student wants to go into just by looking at their top 4 activities. They were the president and captain of the OC Club Model United Nations. They are a co-captain of their mock trial team at school. They were a coordinator and officer of their high school's Link Crew, which is basically an organization that helps freshman students acclimate to their high school. And then they were the co-founder and leader for an organization called Patriots for Progress, which focuses on supporting peer mentorship opportunities for students who need academic support, particularly minorities. So looking at these 4 activities, which are their top 4 activities, I would say that the student probably wants to go into something along the lines of political science, something along the lines of potentially history, but definitely something more policy related, mostly because they're doing Model United Nations mock trial, and then their focus on like link crew and supporting students have to do with like immigrants and minorities, and maybe that's the level of interest that they have with political science. And so it's very clear, and that clarity is important when you're presenting yourself on the Common Application, is when an admission officer looks at your Common Application activity section, can they make sense of what is going on, right? In terms of your passions, in terms of what you want to study in college, and your overall story, right? Are they able to see that? And I think that that's an important aspect. So with that being said, you should try to find your focus, your major by 10th grade. You should start planning your summer based on your passions and selecting those higher level courses based on your passions. And that's why we usually tell students, like, find what it is that you love, because that's what's going to help you to determine the plan throughout your high school journey as well. Okay, so I told you earlier that I want to talk to you about activities and awards, and I'll show you just really quickly, right? On your application, the Common Application, there are 10 slots for activities, 10 slots, okay? 5 of those activities, in terms of extracurricular activities and community service, you want to make sure that you're showing 3 or 4 activities in community service, 5 or 6 extracurricular activities that are kind of going to show that uniqueness factor and the impact that you have in your passion. So they should be major related. Educational prep programs are summer programs, and I usually recommend about 1 to 3, assuming that you do some sort of summer internship or activity, maybe the summer after 9th grade, summer after 10th grade, summer after 11th grade. That gives you 3 total. But even if you don't do it every single summer, even if you did it for 1 summer, I still think that shows a level of impact. And then if you have academic honors, on the Common Application, there's a separate section under the education section that asks you for 5 honors or awards, and it has to be academic honors or awards. So art doesn't count, music doesn't count, sports don't count, right? It has to be like academic related. So, if you did a mock trial competition, or you did Model United Nations, or speech and debate, or you're doing Bio-Olympiad, or Chemistry Olympiad, or Science Olympiad, or Science Bowl, National History Day, you guys get the idea, right? Essay competitions, like those are academical honors. If you have awards at your school, like your high school, you have honor roll, dean's honor roll, academic honor roll, or dean's list, or principal's honor roll, or things like that, those also count. And of course, I'm sure you guys have heard of AP Scholar Awards. So AP Scholar with distinction, AP Scholar with honor. If you do well on the PSAT, the National Merit Semifinalist, National Merit, right? All of those are academic honors and awards as well, and distinctions as well. So you want to make sure when students start with us at Admission Masters, we try to plan out, like, what are we going to fulfill in these categories throughout your time in high school? What 10 activities are we going to be working on? What 5 honors are we going to be working on? And we start that process early, because imagine if you compete, for academic honors in your junior year, you're not sure if you're going to actually get those 5 awards or not. So it's good to start that process early, maybe do a couple of competitions per year. Essay competitions are totally fine as well, so that you can improve your chances of getting some of these academic honors. And of course, the more national, international level the honors are and the activities are, the better. But generally speaking, it's really the effort that counts, right? And so I just showed this generally because I do want you to know that a lot of colleges do want to see that level of service. But when you're choosing service activities, you want to make sure that they are related to your major, right? You can do, for example, if you're a comp sci major student, you can do a community service activity that's related to your major, like teaching kids how to code, right? I'm being very general here. And same thing for extracurricular activities, right? If your major is computer science, you want to show activities that are going to show your passions for computer science. So that's what I meant by showing kind of these differences here as well. Okay, essays. So, as you guys heard earlier from Brian about UCI essays, right? They have UCs have something called PIQs, personal insight questions. The Common App personal statement has one essay that you have to write, and you choose from 7 prompts. The essay is 650 words max. And like I said, you just choose one of these 7, and it goes to every single school that's on the Common Application. Of course, individual colleges on the Common Application have their own individual essay prompts as well. So Harvard will have their own essay prompts, Hopkins will have their own essay prompts, so on and so forth. But, the one main essay that goes to all of the colleges will be this Common App personal statement. So of these 7, you're going to choose one. My biggest recommendation is that you want to personalize your essay. This essay is not an opportunity for you to talk about your activities and awards. That's already in your Common Application. This essay is about your chance to tell your story. If you are someone who is, wanting to talk about, your relationship with your parents, or that you had really, really bad, situation when you were in elementary school, or that something that you remember most about your life is, a memory that you had with your brother, right? Those are things that admission officers would rather hear about, because we want to see what your personality is like as a person, because we see your accomplishments and we see everything else in the rest of your application, right? So you want to make sure that you're choosing the essay prompt that's going to allow you to showcase as much about yourself as possible. Growth and learning. Colleges seek students who are constantly pursuing their personal growth. Show your growth, but more so show your desire to learn. I will tell you right now that during my time reading applications and working with admissions, the biggest thing that I have asked myself when I'm reading essays and application is, does this student want to continuously grow, right? Do they want to learn? Do they feel like they don't have a glass ceiling, right? That they feel like they can break the ceilings of expectations, and that they can continuously grow and continuously improve the world around them. And they want to see that they are that type of student. And that leads me to the last point: impact and uniqueness. You want to find a topic that will show you, that will allow you to show your impact, right? Your impact on a community, on individuals, on a person, right? In a classroom, outside of the classroom, right? The level of impact that you would have, and your future impact, right? If you come to my college, will you be able to graduate and make an impact outside, of once you graduate college, right? And your uniqueness. Separate yourself from other applicants. You don't want to talk about the same thing that other students are going to talk about, because you want to shed light on your uniqueness factor, your color, what makes you different from other applicants. Because the reality is, when you apply to college, especially at top tier private schools, you're going to be competing against other students that have very similar grades, very similar accomplishments to you. What's going to set you apart really is going to be your story, and what makes you different as a person than other people who have the same grades and same accomplishments as you do. Okay, so I wanted to show 5 other really important factors of the Common Application very quickly. I know this was a super short seminar, but I wanted to cover as much as possible. So the first part that I wanted to cover is this activity section. So if you look at this activity section, there's a couple of things that they look for, right? They look for the type of activity that the activity falls under. They ask for your position and leadership description. Then they ask for your organization name, so the organization or the club name, and then they ask you in 150 characters, please describe this activity, including what you accomplished and any recognition that you received. My students have the hardest time with this section because they don't know, well, how much of my position and how specific do I need to be? What do I need to put for the organization? In what order do I need to put these activities? And what do I put in the 150 characters, which is literally one sentence? of all the things that I was able to do. So I'm just going to talk about very, very quick points because I do have to leave a little bit of space for Q&A at the very end. So number one, I think that when you're thinking about your activity in terms of the leadership description, you want to start with the most recent leadership position. So if you were president in senior year or whatever, you want to put president and be specific if it was only in 12th grade. Then you want to do vice president in 11th and public relations in 10th, but not all of that might fit because it's only 50 characters, in which case just focus on your top positions and focus on that. And then for the organization name, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, whatever the name of your club is. And then any activity, you know, what you accomplished, you want to focus on tangible impact, right? When you're doing your activities, you want to make sure that if you were a treasurer, right, instead of being like, I helped out at fundraising events, if you say something like, I organized fundraising events to raise $500 for free shirts for our club members, that tangibility makes a really big impact in this application, right? So you want to think about those tangible impacts. The other thing that I really wanted to point out is here, the teacher recommendations. So for teacher recommendation and counselor recommendations, obviously it's more than just a letter of rec. They're also looking at the type of student that you are. And if you're in the top 5% or top 10%, or, you know, if you're average or below average, right? They do want to see the level of impact that you have inside the classroom, but in terms of other elements as well. Like you can see motivation, concern for others, reaction to setbacks, right? They're going to look at all of those as well. With that also, I did want to mention two other parts that I feel like a lot of students don't recognize. The first part is something called demonstrated interest. So in some colleges, like I just pulled out UPenn here, they ask you, how did you learn about UPenn? And tell me in order of influence how you knew you wanted to come to UPenn. And then there's this drop-down menu that they say like, oh, you know, I know a current Penn student at Penn that told me about Penn, or went to a college fair, or I learned from a college counselor, or I went to this joint presentation. Once you click on these, it asks you for a month and a year. When did you attend this joint presentation program? When you click on current Penn student, they ask you, tell me the name of the Penn student that you know, right? And so this shows what we call demonstrated interest, right? How much do you really want to come to this school? Because if you did, you would be doing a lot of research and a lot of things to kind of prepare you to come to the college as well. And then this section, which is the COVID-19 section, right? They have this section that says, tell us, you know, did COVID-19 impact your life in any way? Did it impact your education in any way? Tell us about some disruptions, right? If your family or your parents got laid off because of COVID, or, you know, you had to take care of your brother all the time, so you had very little access to quiet study spaces. Like this is a good space to talk about that. And I think using that is important if you have something to talk about. And then of course, like I mentioned earlier, every college has their own set of writing supplement and essay questions. You need to make sure that you are keeping that in mind when you are working on the college applications, that it's not just the 650 word one Common App essay, it's also this writing supplement for individual colleges that you need to be worried about as well. Okay, so final pieces of advice for you, and then I'll go into the Q&A and I'll answer any questions that you guys have. Just so you know, after the seminar, I'll hop on to the YouTube and answer any questions that I'm not able to answer, you know, through the seminar as well. So feel free to ask any questions and I'd be more than happy to give you guys the responses. So 3 pieces of advice. I really just want to say that starting early, you know, the early bird gets the worm, I think is a really, really important saying because my students have told me, my seniors have told me that they are so less stressed than their friends who are not getting support for their applications because we started this process so early. They know exactly what to do. And I think a really big part of college applications is that students get super overwhelmed during this time. So start early. Admissions is all about strategy. Planning early, giving yourself direction before high school is really going to help you succeed. Start the process early, understand the process early, I think is also very important. Find your passions. Our most successful students are the students who follow their passions, their talents, their interests. utilize what you love to make a difference. I really, really, really want to say this because I think students feel like they have to force themselves into a box. But really, what we like to do is take you outside of that box and really allow you to explore the passions and talents that you have, even talents that you thought you didn't have or didn't exist. Finding what you love to actually make a difference in your community is going to make things so much less stressful for you. And I think finding those passions are really important. And lastly, find your story. What is the story that you want to tell your admissions? What qualities do you want to highlight? Finding your story will help tremendously in writing your essays. Reflect on your days, reflect on your weeks. Think about the things that you really love. Think about the emotions and the opportunities that you have throughout your high school journey. Write about them in a journal, and it's going to help you when you're writing your essays in the future. So starting this process early overall, finding your passions and finding that story element about who you are is going to be a very important part of working on your applications. And just the last bit of note, the 3 P's to success, in my opinion, is plan, prepare, and persevere. I do think that this is also that what college admissions would really like to see is that you are a type of person that plans and prepares, but most importantly, college application and the journey of high school is hard and stressful. I totally understand. I've been doing this for 14 years, and I can see from my students in every year how challenging school can be, and persevering through that process is going to help you succeed. So I do want to leave you with the 3 P's to success. And just once again, I would like to leave you guys off with our contact information. You guys can go into our link tree, and we have information about our services, our YouTube channel, our podcast. You can sign up for a free consultation and subscribe to our newsletter. We'd be more than happy to share our experiences and give you advice. And without further ado, I would like to turn it over so I can answer any questions that you guys have on the YouTube channel. And I'd be more than happy to, whatever I don't get to answer, I'd be more than happy to go on to the YouTube channel to answer any questions as well. So thank you guys all so much for being here. I will turn it over to the Q&A session.
Thank you, Jenny, for your wonderful information covering the practical strategies on the private college admission, especially utilizing Common App. Now we'll have our Q&A session, and then just like you shared, we are running out of time, so I'll pick at least like 2 questions, and the rest of the question you'll be answering through the chat box, okay?
Yeah.
So the question number 1 is through the chat box, Seyoung Han. Our Coursera, which is like free, the platform that offers many different kinds of courses. Coursera certificates valued for the college admissions.
Great question. I'm going to be really honest. Coursera certifications are minimal value. I want to be very careful in what I say. Honestly, I think if you wanted to explore an area of interest that is not offered at your high school, it's not offered anywhere else, then you can consider doing Coursera. I would say it's not the number 1 priority when you think about your activities, though. If you are having extra time or you want to explore other areas, rather than Coursera, doing some sort of internship or going to some sort of summer program would be a little bit more valuable, or actually taking courses at a college or a community college that shows a grade for the course would be, and the credit that you receive would be more valuable. I'm not saying Coursera is not valuable at all in college admissions. I just think that there are other things that can be a little bit more impactful than Coursera courses.
Okay, thank you. And then second question will be submitted before the event. Then the Common App system is actually you are writing one single file application, and then spreading out to various kinds of campuses, and then especially private universities, and then they are all watching with one identical the application. But just like you shared, such as Harvard or any Ivy Leagues require some special or extra essays. Is that portion is the only differentiable section in the Common App that can make a differentiation of the applying making a strategical application to different colleges?
Yeah, that's a great question. So on the supplemental sections for individual colleges, so whether that's like Harvard or Stanford or University of Washington or wherever, it's not just essays on there. There's also what I showed you, demonstrated interest section. There's, you can choose different teachers for recommendation letters for each of the individual colleges that you apply to through the common application. There's a lot of other questions in there, like they'll ask you about financial aid. They'll ask you about if you want to include your ACT or SAT score, because a lot of colleges are still test optional this year. So there's still a lot of other things. Also, to be honest, I do have students that kind of make small differences on the main common application based on what they're submitting to each of the colleges. I would not recommend doing that, only because it's extra work for our students and all of that. But if you really wanted to differentiate the entire application, you technically can. On the common application, you can make multiple different types of versions. But yes, for the supplemental, it's mostly the essays. There are demonstrated interest sections, and then there's also specific questions that colleges ask you that differ with other colleges as well. But that would be kind of the main way in which you can differentiate the colleges among each other.
Great. Thank you again, Jenny. And then, due to the time restriction, I will let you off. But you can hop into our chat box and then, answer those questions were not selected from my end. So it was a pleasure to have you virtually here with us. And then what you have shared will be truly beneficial to our viewers. And then hope you have a safe and relaxing rest of the weekend. And then before we let you go, Jenny, what is the best contact to reach you out if students and parents have further questions? Can you show us like a last slide that has a QR code?
Oh, okay. I was
Or-
going to show you my.
probably. Yes,
Oh, right
that
here.
QR.
Yes, right here. You guys can use this QR code and contact us. We have our contact information there as well. And I really appreciate it. Dave, thank you so much. Thank you, Korea Daily, for this opportunity. And I hope everyone got really good information. I'll hop on YouTube in a moment and answer any other questions that there are as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank you.
for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of the weekend.
Bye.
For any of those students watching, please feel free to reach out to Jenny, or leave a comments down below, so that Jenny can hop into the chat box and then answer those before until our session ends. So now the College Fair program for today is officially over, but the College Fair itself has not ended yet, because we have content series. 3 webinars from 3 admission experts will be premiered on November 19th, which is just 1 week from now today, via the Korea Daily YouTube channel, same YouTube channel for this one. AGM, Boston Education, and Admission Masters will be partaking to deliver webinars on topics of FAFSA, planning appropriate college admission strategies, and finding best extracurricular activities for college admissions. Not only will be informative, but also content series itself will have a sweepstakes. For those who watch the clips, hit the like buttons and then leave the comments by following Thursday, which is November 23rd. After the video has been uploaded, we'll randomly pick the comments and then we'll select 30 winners to give Amazon gift cards. Please refer to the current page for the sweepstake rules. At this time, I would like to introduce Korea Daily's cultural communication channel. Well, it's a CCC called Catch Up Official. Make sure it's K, not C. And KoreaDailyUS.com to be able to bring fun and joy in the midst of getting rid of language barriers with our Korean American Next Gen. The Korea Daily oversees various platforms like YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and has its own English news website. While our YouTube and Instagram focuses on entertaining topics like K-pop and K-food, our news websites and TikTok delivers Korean American news right in front of you. So you better check it out and then make sure to hit follow. Without further ado, the moment is here. It'll be our final sweepstakes for today. Actually, it was unfortunate that our team did not receive any call of a MacBook Air winner and iPad mini winner. So we'll be actually picking those all 3 right now. So, at last, we are picking AirPods Pro, iPad mini, and then MacBook Air in order right now. So you still have a chance. Please hop into the live streaming right now, okay? So let's check it out. I have the number generator right here. And then the luckiest person. Right now, I'm picking up the number for the AirPods Pro, okay? Make sure it is the AirPods Pro, guys. And then the number for AirPods Pro is 374. 374. 374. Congratulations! You just won free AirPods Pro. It's actually second generation, the recent one. Congratulations, great job. And right now, we haven't gotten any iPad mini. So, we are also picking up the number for the iPad mini. Can someone give me a virtual drum rolls? The number goes to 287, 287, 287. Congratulations. You just won iPad mini. Actually, you're the luckiest one because, first winner did not call us within 3 minutes, okay? So 287 for iPad mini and then 374 for AirPods Pro. Last but not least, we are picking up the MacBook Air. There's a big thing left, okay? One last big thing. Here we go. Let me hit the number. 173, 173, 173. Congratulations, all of you guys. You just won free gifts from our end. 173 for MacBook Air, and then 287 for iPad mini, and then 374 for AirPods Pro. Just a reminder that this is not about calling who's really fast to our phone number. So, those who won this sweepstakes, please call at 213-368-2559. Once again, 213-368-2559. For those who did not win this number, I'm sorry, but this is not about the fast race calling. So do not call us nor email us because you will not be able to assist you in any ways. Okay, guys? Call us at 213-368-2559. Once again, 213-368-2559 for winning the sweepstakes. All right, guys? So thank you all for joining us and attending 17th the Korea Daily Online College Fair, and hopefully we brought you the right amount of helpful information needed for your futures. We hope you enjoy all the sweepstakes as well as a webinar throughout our college fair. Feel free to reach out to our team with questions as well as our speakers. Again, a big thank you to our sponsors who made this event possible today, McDonald's, APA Next, as well as UC Irvine and Admission Masters. Please stay tuned as content series will come up next Saturday, 10 a.m., okay? Then have a great rest of the weekend. We'll come back in 2023 for our 18th college fair. Bye!